The one news that's been dominating the headlines for the last 6 to 8 hours has obviously come from the upcoming Cricket World Cup. The 50 over World Cup that is about to happen in India. There is a lot of seismic waves, shock waves I should say, that's been created by this one news that's coming straight out of Ahmedabad, and it's the fact that the biggest fixture or the marquee fixture on the list of fixtures happens to be the India versus Pakistan game, which has been scheduled for the 15th of October. Now, as we've told you already on Sports Today, we came up with the news early in the morning that you are now looking at a scenario wherein the match between India and Pakistan could be rescheduled. What we're trying to do over here is we'll tell you how exactly the two teams could possibly be affected if there is a reschedule, because now there are reports emerging that on the 14th of October, just a day prior to the original scheduled date, you could be looking at the big clash take place. Now, how will the two teams be affected as far as the cricket is concerned, as far as logistics go? What are the schedules for the two teams in the run up to the 14th going to be looking like? Over the next few minutes, we're going to be talking about that, and then possibly come to a conclusion as to what it could, as to which team, let's say, it could benefit a little more or less. That we'll try to analyze and break down for you. Now, these are the fixtures of the two giants. Pakistan play first. They play earlier than India. 6th of October is their first game in this year's World Cup. They play the Netherlands, one of the two teams that has qualified from the World Cup qualifiers that took place in Zimbabwe. They play the next match on the 12th of October, which is again going to be against a team which is qualified from the qualifiers, and that's Sri Lanka. So by 12th of October, Pakistan would have played two games already. Speaking of India, they would have played their first two games latest by the 11th of October. The first match happening on the 8th of October for India. Now that's going to be in Chennai against Australia, and then on the 11th India. So just a 2-day turnaround for Team India, while Pakistan get a big gap over here. That's something worth noticing here, because this is something that Pakistan don't get from the second fixture over to the third fixture. Also, they don't have to change their city. You see, the first two matches take place in Hyderabad for Pakistan. So the venue remains the same for them. They stay in the same city. No time lost, no change of conditions, no time required for adaptability or any sort of logistical hurdles. They won't have to go through any kind of those things. So no acclimatization difference as well for Pakistan over there. As far as India, they start in Chennai and then they go to Delhi for their second match. Now, this is where things are going to get tricky now for the two teams. 15th is when they were scheduled, rather are scheduled to play against each other in Ahmedabad at the Narendra Modi Stadium. Now, what happens if the match, and this is what the reports are suggesting at the moment through credible sources, that's what we're also learning, that there will be no shift as far as the venue is concerned. So the Narendra Modi Stadium remains the venue for the India-Pakistan match. Having said that, what is now being reported is that instead of the 15th, because you've got the Navratri celebration from that very date, you're looking at the match being preponed or pre-scheduled to the 14th of October. So a day prior to the original schedule. Now, what could that possibly mean? 12th is when Pakistan will be playing. It's a 2 p.m. match, so you expect that match to only end around 10-11 at night. So that match ends for Pakistan on the 12th. They then only have a 1-day turnaround, because they, remember, will have to take a good 1.5 hour, 2 hour flight from Hyderabad to Ahmedabad as well, remember. And if that match then happens on the 14th, Pakistan don't just have change of cities, then of course there's time lost in all the commute and travel as well. So it becomes a big challenge then for Pakistan to prepare for such a big game if it happens on the 14th. For India though, yes, it's going to be a challenge as well, because India will be in Delhi on the 11th, but still 1 day better off than Pakistan, because India will then, the Indian team will be taking their flight on the 12th, the day when Pakistan will actually be playing their second match. So India do get 1 day extra as compared to the neighbors, and this is where things will get much more tricky, and Pakistan might object to this, because nowhere else do you see in the schedule a team being asked to play twice within 48 hours, and that's going to be the thing for Pakistan if the match takes place on the 14th. 12th they play their second match. The third match for them, going by reports, could then be on the 14th of October, and Pakistan might take objection to that, and this is something then that they will raise with the ICC. So now the ICC is going to be in a bit of a fix here in trying to ensure that no team sort of gets that advantage as well. One more thing we're talking about over here is that Ahmedabad was also, remember, one of the two venues that Pakistan earlier had reservations playing at as well. In fact, they had also said that they didn't want to play in Chennai because they felt that that would have given advantage to one of the other teams as well. It was, I think, their game against Afghanistan that they felt that it would have given them more advantage. So that wasn't, request of Pakistan wasn't quite acknowledged by the ICC when they came out with the schedule. But this time around, the PCB will have a genuine case if they are to escalate the matter with the ICC, and that's where the ICC will have a tough job now to reschedule this India-Pakistan fixture, because now it turns out it could be a security situation as well in Ahmedabad, because the celebrations start on the exact same day as the match has been scheduled. So looking at the security situation, the authorities in India have now said that you should look at rescheduling the match. It's going to be a tough task. The BCCI has already called for an emergency meeting. That meeting takes place tomorrow, and all the concerned stakeholders, the top brass of the BCCI, are now going to be putting their heads together to work out this entire situation, because remember, not only does this have to be worked out internally, but this has to be worked out at the international level as well, because you're looking at other stakeholders, and you're also obviously looking at the ICC and the PCB, which happen to be the other primary stakeholders in this whole situation. So India, given the schedule, will have a one-day advantage over Pakistan, because they'll be in Ahmedabad latest by the 12th of October, but for Pakistan, they could only possibly be there by the 13th, because they've got a match on the 12th of October. So this is what the situation looks like for the two teams. 14th is what it is at the moment believed could possibly be the date. Now you could also go ahead and ask as to why the other matches cannot be rescheduled, why this match, and there's a big gap over here. Why can Pakistan not play then on the 11th or maybe the 10th, because there is a good 5-day gap between the two matches there for Pakistan. But that, remember, involves a lot of logistical operations to be taken care of. There are other matches happening as well simultaneously, and then you will have to, they will have a trickle down effect as well if you change not just one but two matches then. So that makes things much more difficult from an operational, logistical, as well as from a broadcaster standpoint as well. So things get very, very complicated over there. But as things stand, it could be a slight advantage, let's say, in this particular situation. No team really benefits over here because no one really wants a reschedule of sorts. For India as well, you know, there is a psychological sort of impact that such news carries, and you don't want any team to be enjoying any sort of an advantage, especially when it comes to recuperating from match situations, especially when it comes to being refreshed for such a big match. You want the two teams to be heading into the match at an even keel. So that's how things stand, and we here at Sports Day will keep you updated with each and every bit on this particular story. We've got this one, we're keeping a close track on it, and as soon as we get more updates as far as developments on this particular story is concerned, you will be the first ones to know. But for that, don't forget to tap that bell icon.